What's up, everybody? It is Munch818 or Ian back here with the RLCS Season 7 World Championship recap. So the first part of this video is going to be my recap of my experience and what I did across the days. If you guys followed my Twitter, you probably got a good gauge of what I did the first couple days. But then the second part of my video, timestamp in the description, is going to be when I actually start talking about the matches and the updates for the matches. That will be the second part of the video. So let's just get into this first part. So day one, if you guys didn't hear, it was a very unfortunate day one for me, as I was supposed to fly out of Grand Rapids and land at EWR in Newark at about 11:30. I was flying out of, but then that flight got canceled. I woke up, I was all packed and stuff, and that flight got canceled. And then my second flight got moved to 7:30, departing from Grand Rapids and landing in EWR. And then that flight got canceled again, so I guess Grand Rapids is just having some flooding issues because it had rained pretty hard Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And I mean, obviously that is the downfall of flying out of a smaller airport, was that there's only really one runway. So if it gets flooded, they don't really have the pumps and the high technology to be able to clear it off. But there are give and takes for everything. Like if I would have flown out of Detroit, that's a 2.5, 3 hour drive, where Grand Rapids is only like a 30-minute drive. So, I mean, from now on, I think I'm going to be flying out of Detroit now that I'm a little older and I don't have to get like my mom to drive me to the airport anymore. I can kind of drive myself because I'll be 18 by the time next World Championship rolls around. So I think I'll be flying out of Detroit just for safe measure from here on out. But then my third flight actually got rescheduled to 4:30 on Friday, so I was going to miss the matches, but I was going to be able to play in the RBG Esports 2v2 tournament that me and Matt were planning on playing in. And then of course that flight got delayed because air traffic control stuff, so it got delayed like an hour, so we didn't end up playing in the 2v2. But I still had a great time on day one. I flew in about 7:30-ish to EWR. My buddies picked me up and we partied and we hung out, and I believe we just settled in at the Airbnb. I got my room and we went out to this really nice sushi place, and then we went over to a couple of friends' house that we met and we just hung out there for the night. So it was a good time. And then Saturday morning we woke up and we just hit McDonald's. We figured, you know what, let's not spend a lot. So it was like $5 breakfast, definitely worth it. We went to the matches, and then afterward we went to Dino Barbecue. It's a super funny story. We went to Dino Barbecue and they sat us down, and if you don't know what Dino Barbecue is, it was just a very hot place for people going to LAN. It was right outside the Prudential Center, but we wanted to go there for dinner Saturday night. So we went back to the Airbnb, we changed into a little bit of nicer clothes, and we decided to go out to Dino's Barbecue. And they sit us down, they get us water, they get us menus, and right as they're about to take our orders, they tell us that they don't have beef or pork. And if you guys know anything about a traditional barbecue restaurant, you pretty much can't do a lot without beef and pork there. So we were like, you know what, we're out. So then we just went to this noodles shop, you know, Asian food, 2 nights in a row. You really can't go wrong. There's great noodles. I got some like really gourmet mac and cheese, and one of my buddies got lo mein. Really good stuff there. Just right outside the Prudential Center. And then that was pretty much it for Saturday. We were debating what we wanted to do, if we wanted to go out. We were just super tired because Saturday was a really long day and we woke up early. And then Sunday, me and Matt and then our other buddy John, you might know him because we're kind of the rocket powered group, is RP Fox. If you guys saw us with the big rocket powered poster or rocket powered shirts, that was most likely us, or it was one of my buddies. So we wanted to go get our autograph signed the first day, and at about 9:30 we drove up, and people had been there since 7, and we were at the east entrance. And I'm sure you guys probably don't want to hear all of this, but long story short, there was 4 sets of 3 doors, and we were expecting them to open all 4 sets, and then we would just go through and we'd get in line, and we were on the far right set. And then about 10 minutes before open, they told us that they were only going to be opening the far left set of doors. So it took us, even though we were like near the like exact front, we were like hands reach away from the glass, we were on the complete like 50 feet away from the entrance that they had opened. So very brutal. We didn't really get in there in time, and we didn't actually get anything signed. But we still got to watch all the matches on Sunday, and then afterward, we ran home and we went to the after party. If you guys saw any videos of the after party, it was great. I had a bunch of conversations with a bunch of casters, a bunch of pros. I 1v1'd against Fruity. It was pretty crazy. He destroyed me 9-3, but it was a great time. I scored a couple goals on him. Absolutely great time. And then after the after party, we just went home. I just packed up and went to bed, and then the next day, woke up, maybe took like half an hour to clean up the Airbnb because there were some of the rules. We had to wash the dishes and do other stuff. And then we just head out to the airport, and I got home. I'm recording this on Monday, or Tuesday, but I got home Monday at about 1 or 2, and I just settled back in, and I had a pretty good day. It was nice to sleep in my own bed last night, and it was a pretty good trip overall. Definitely better for me and my experience than last season in Vegas. I don't know, I felt like I could do a little bit more. There was a little, as a minor, there was a little bit more that I could do, even though there's not as much in Newark. I had a little bit more fun with my friends, and also I went to the after party, and I did a little bit more. I tried to put myself out there a little bit more, rather than Vegas, where I just kind of went to the event and then went home and laid in my freaking hotel room. But I really enjoyed it, and I met a lot of people, and definitely better than Vegas, 10 out of 10. And now, let's recap the matches. Alright guys, so now we're back with the fun stuff, match recaps. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, go do it. Munch818RL should be right above my head up here. Go check me out. I did post daily match recaps for day 1 and day 2 and then day 3. I was extremely tired, and we didn't have time between the after party and the matches, and I was extremely tired after the after party, and I just really didn't have time, so I figured I'd just save it for this video. But talking about day 1. Day 1 was super fun. Excuse me. So, if you knew anything about day 1, it went Group C, match 1, Group D, match 1, then Group A, match 1, Group B, match 1, then Group C, match 2, and then Group D, match 2. So, first match here, FC Barcelona versus Renegades. That was a very eventful match, and if you guys, like I said, follow me on Twitter, a lot of stuff over there. But I did get to watch this match at home. I think I watched the Renegades Barcelona match at home, the C9 Loki match at home, the NRG INTZ match I watched a little bit of, but really didn't get to. I heard that was a banger. I wish I would have watched it. I'll probably go back and watch it. And then Renault Ground Zero I did get to watch because I was at the airport at that point. And then I didn't watch the Rogue FC match, and I didn't watch the Cloud9 Triple Trouble match. But let's just talk about Renegades versus FC Barcelona. Both teams looked quite bad. Obviously, FC Barcelona swept, and they only took the 5th through 8th position, only going home with about 22 grand. Probably not what they were looking for, but obviously they swept, so they didn't drop a game or many goals, honestly. But Renegades was definitely the most uneventful team. We were all a lot of people predicted Renegades to actually make day 3 over Rogue. I didn't predict that. I predicted FC Barcelona to take first and Rogue to take second. Obviously, that was flipped in the grand spectrum of things, but obviously the Renegades played quite bad. A lot of people were expecting them to come out and maybe be better than Sam, especially because they had easier matchups. They had to play Rogue and G2 were the potential wins, the lower seeds in both their groups, where INTZ had to play PSG, and then Loki had to play Triple Trouble. A lot of people were expecting if Loki played well, they could beat out Triple Trouble. They ended up not doing it. My predictions were right. No South American teams, no Australian teams in the final, but Renegades not looking great. And FC Barcelona obviously not looking, honestly, really not that good either. They beat them 3-0, but not by great margins, and they were making easy double commit mistakes, and not what I wanted to see. Cloud9 versus Loki, this is pretty straightforward. Didn't drop a game. Sweep, Cloud9 played really well, and the score lines were pretty close. I think you could check the score lines right here. Yeah, 4-2, 2-1, 1-0. So, 2-goal game, 1-goal game, 1-goal game. And then NRG, INTZ, this was a absolutely nuts match. This is the only one I wanted to watch, because INTZ won 4-1 and then 4-2, definitely playing well. They could have for sure beaten them. It could have been a sweep if they won that first overtime. It would have been a clear sweep on INTZ part, but Energy won the overtime, and then they came back and won 3-2 barely in match 4, and then Champions Field match 5, obviously they took it 2-0. Renault Vitality versus Ground Zero, absolute clobbering except for the first match. Renault Vitality, a lot of people were saying Renault Vitality looked bad, and I kind of got a pro insight at the after party, and it wasn't that Renault Vitality looked bad, but it was that G2 just looked so good. Fruity was talking to me in the after party, and he said G2, based on scrims, was for sure the best team there looking. Everyone expected them to get to the finals after they scrimmed, and then they beat Renault on stage, and that was just a pro's perspective, so I kind of agreed with him. I think G2 played really well once we saw him beat Renault Vitality, because Vitality was still playing good. Like, they didn't actually, obviously it was a 3-1 score line, but it was still a pretty close match against them. But Ground Zero Gaming, Vitality, pretty straightforward. And then FC Rogue, this was probably the biggest upset of the day. This, or, I mean, INTZ taking 2 games, it wasn't technically an upset, but, like, everyone expected a sweep. And then they took 2 games, almost freaking beat them. So, and then, obviously, FC Barcelona. I don't know, man. They seem to have hot games and then cold games. It was a little bit of this tournament. They just didn't play that hot. But here, like, Rogue beat them. A 2-goal game, a 1-goal game, a 1-goal game, and one of them was in OT. And then the game FC Barcelona won was 4-goal differential. So, obviously that helped out their group if there was a 1-1 situation tie. But you got to win the matches there. And then Cloud9 Triple Trouble. We all knew how this was going to go. Cloud9 already warmed up on the day. The OT win by Triple Trouble, but then Cloud9 in their final 3 matches scoring 10 goals to Triple Trouble's 3. So, easy day 1, easy predictions except for the Rogue FC Barcelona. So, I went 5 for 6 on predictions. Then, day 2, how did it go? Alright, okay. Energy PSG. Everyone expected Energy to have this one, especially after they made that comeback against INTZ. They were looking quite bad in day 1, and they really picked it up day 2. Day 2, they played really well against PSG, and they only won 1 match, so very good by NRG. And then Renault Vitality, G2. This was probably the craziest match. If you're going to go watch a match, this is the G2 that we want to see. They were playing Renault Vitality, top level team, the best in the world. Obviously, won Worlds, if you're looking at the bracket a little bit down here. But coming out and playing very well. G2 almost had the sweep, but Renault Vitality squeaked out the overtime win, so then G2 won it in 4. And then Renegades Rogue. After we saw Renegades play here and Rogue beat FC Barcelona, we all knew that Rogue was going to win this one as long as they played like they had played on day 1. Triple Trouble versus Loki. This was a little surprising that Loki didn't even win a game. Triple Trouble ended +1 game differential, and then Loki ended -6, didn't win a game. And then the only game loss that Cloud9 had was 1 game to Triple Trouble. But Triple Trouble playing very well against Loki Esports. If you see me looking like down here a little bit, that's on my monitor. That's what your guys are seeing right now. So, oh, you guys can't really see. There's that group there too. We're gonna move it back down. But then the final matches, PSG INTZ. We all knew PSG was going to win this one because INTZ just didn't look as hot as they did on day 1. Obviously, Energy looked a lot better, and PSG had already been on the stage. I think a lot of people talk about, oh, like this match, for example. INTZ had been on stage on day 1, but I think it's a big deal to be on the stage that day. Like, if you've already been playing, that's what I kind of liked about the old format, and I'm going to make a ton of videos about formats. You don't worry about that at all. I think I have like 3 videos planned all about RLCS formats. So make sure to subscribe here if you guys are interested in that. But that's the one thing I didn't like about this format is that we didn't get to see PSG. Or wait, no, we didn't get to see PSG until day 2. We didn't get to see G2 until day 2. And that's it. But we didn't get to see any of those on day 2. And then we didn't get to see Renault. No, we saw Renault on day 2. We only saw FC on day 1 and Cloud9 on day 1. Obviously, it was still fine. Like, the teams that won out probably should have won out. Obviously, no SAM teams or Australian teams. And then, where was I? I believe PSG INTC 3-0 there, not a surprise. And then how G2 had played that day, beating Renault Vitality on the second match of the day, we all knew that it was going to be an absolute stomping here. So obviously, best game differentials out of groups. Cloud9 +5, no surprise there. I would say Cloud9 had the easiest group out of every other top team because Triple Trouble, no LAN experience. 4th seed technically, even though they did beat PSG in the regionals, just how that format works. That's another issue that I have with that format. But yes, it was very good. And then obviously these groups acquainted to these playoffs. I'll kind of zoom in a little bit. There you go. It's a little bit better. And then Renault Vitality versus so it actually started with G2 versus PSG. I have some theories of why it did this, but I'm a firm believer that they did this because of the two reasons. One, they changed the G2 meet and greet to after their match, and they wanted to have the G2 meet and greet at around 1:30 opposed to like 3:30 because G2 would have been the third match, and then obviously you had to rush G2 match, but here they were the first match, and then if they won this one, they were the fifth match. So you got a little bit of break and a little bit of time for the meet and greet, so they could go do the meet and greet for like an hour and a half, and then they could go and they could chill and they could have some time before they had to start scrimming again to get warmed up. And the second reason is they wanted Cloud9 to have the fourth match because they wanted Squishy Muffins to have the shortest day possible. If you didn't hear off of Squishy's Twitter, make sure to go check all these people out on Twitter. Twitter is a huge deal if you guys don't have it, by the way. Squishy Muffins got a bladder infection, which means that he was in a decent amount of pain, and he said he was on antibiotics, and he said he was on painkillers, but he would still feel discomfort. And you could tell in the way that he played, especially in his match against FC Barcelona and Renault Vitality on day 3. We didn't see him on day 2, which is kind of good, because obviously he had a day, because he got diagnosed with it. He said he had it the previous months, and he had it re-enter his system on day 2. So he was on all that, but his matches against FC Barcelona, they just clobbered him. Look at the scoreline. The 2 OTs and then the 3-1. He was popping off and playing really well, and he wasn't even smiling. Like, old Squishy didn't smile at all, but now we see him like smile when he plays good and when he scores goals, and he just wasn't having that. So first match, G2 PSG. This was crazy. G2 came out and stomped them the first 2 games. 3-0, 5-0, 8-0 on the first 2 games. And then PSG, this is kind of their play style though. They don't really win by a lot. They're kind of like the old NRG. They kind of just win 2-1, 2-1. Their matches here, 3-2, 3-1, like 1 or 2 goal differential, not really a ton, because they don't put on relentless pressure past the winning 1 or 2 goals. And then Champions Field, don't take G2 to the final game of the series, and you have all the replays if you want to go check them out. Don't take them to the final game of the series because they 3-0'd them. Rogue coming out absolutely amazing. A lot of my friends are Rogue fans. Matt is a huge Rogue fan. John, or RP Fox, huge Rogue fan. And then my brother was there with me too. That was kind of our like squad of 4. We all started in the Airbnb together. They were all huge Rogue fans because Rogue is a huge underdog. Obviously, Kronovi getting kicked, it's a big deal. But Rogue came out and played a very solid match, losing only 1 game and winning the final game in overtime. It was pretty eventful, and we were all huge. And then NRG Renault Vitality. Honestly, if you guys checked my Twitter, you would have seen that I tweeted out how many European teams will make the semifinals, and I fully expected it to be 0. I thought NRG was going to win, Cloud9, G2, and Rogue were all going to beat their European counterparts. But Renault Vitality came out and they played well. It was kind of the swing. As soon as Renault Vitality won that overtime, we were like, oh shoot. And a lot of people are asking if NRG is going to make a move. I don't think so. I just think they have to figure out what they're going to do at LAN, because online they went, I think 7-0, 6-1 in league play, something like that. And then they took first in the regional championship. They won 2 matches against Rogue and G2, if I'm not mistaken, or Rogue and Cloud9, excuse me. Then the Cloud9 match, a stomping. Like I said, all pretty close games. 2 of them going to OT, but an easy win there. Renault Vitality Cloud9. This was kind of the match no one expected to go this far. or to go this short. Obviously, this was kind of, not really, but kind of a rematch from last season finals, because K-Dop, obviously Scrubkill and Fairy, not Turbo and Violent Panda, but a little bit of a rematch. Cloud9 just getting decimated. Then G2 coming out, playing their old teammate in Krunovi, crushing them. Rogue scored 2 goals. 2 goals, the whole thing. And freaking G2 scored 12 goals. And the shots were just relentless. And then the finals coming out. We all thought maybe there was a comeback coming. As soon as Renault Vitality won that overtime, we were like, oh shit, they're back. And a lot of pros were saying G2 is the best. But we all know when Renault Vitality, or even I would say the same with Dignitas, when Dignitas would get hot, no one was beating them. Not even a super hot Cloud9. Like, obviously you can make the argument that they were hot last season and Cloud9 is hot. I would say when Cloud9 plays really good, when NRG plays really good, and then this G2, all are the 3 best potential teams in the world. I would say the top 4, I would say substitute NRG for Rogue, and the semifinals would very accurately depict who the top 4 teams in the world are. But then when G2 won match 4, we were like, oh shit, can G2 reverse sweep? And obviously game 5, they ended it. And then my thoughts on World Championship MVP Scrubkilla. Now, it's a little confusing. I think they need to make it more clear. Is it World Championship Finals MVP or is it World Championship MVP? Because as they have it labeled, I would give it to JNaps. Because JNaps played out of his mind. G2 was rated, I don't know. I think they were expected to take second in their group. And then they would have had to play FC Barcelona in the quarterfinals, and they would have either lost. There was no chance they were making it to the semis, based on everyone's predictions. I think I predicted them 5th through 8th, not to go far at all. Obviously, they took second. JNaps played out of his mind. Scrubkilla was a good replacement, though. I would say the second best player, the second biggest MVP was Scrubkilla. The first 2 days, Scrub just absolutely carried their team. Obviously, K-Dop and Fairy Peak not doing a lot, not putting up a lot of stats. And Scrubkilla came out, and then on day 3, Fairy Peak very much picked it up. I would say if it was World Championship MVP, I would give it to JNaps, but they wanted to give it to a winner, so I'd give it to Scrub, so I agree. And then, but if it was World Championship Finals MVP, I would have given it to Fairy Peak, because Fairy Peak played extremely well in the finals, and I think he deserved it. So these are the matches for everything. Oh, Lord. Everything's popping up. All right. Here's everything. And then Scrubkilla got MVP 2 days in a row. So here's everything you guys need to know. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow my Twitch, Munch818, my YouTube, subscribe down here, comment down below, like if you do enjoy. Check out my Twitter, Munch818RL, and check out my Discord in the description. I'll see you guys all later.